What's going on, guys? You know, when I made my first big income jump in 2015, there's two main things I did, and we'll touch on those real quick. And one of the and it's stuff that people don't really talk about. No one tells you this. One of the problems I have with and I'm all for advice online and education. I'm big on education. The problem online I find is that a lot of it is one of two things. It's either like the fancy stuff, like work smarter. Well, what the hell does that mean? Okay, or it's stuff that someone who hasn't ever achieved anything is spewing advice on how to achieve. That's a problem. That's a real problem because that would be like, for any of you that have studied martial arts, that's like someone telling you how to fight, teaching you how to fight who's never been in a fight. As anyone who studies martial arts knows that you can throw a punch, you can throw kicks, and all of a sudden when you get into a real session, maybe it's a sparring session or when you're actually facing someone one-on-one and they're throwing punches and kicks at you, it's much different. Everything goes out the window. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. So a lot of things that are being taught online or that people are saying are people that, and no disrespect to them, but they probably haven't really achieved anything. And here's the first thing. Don't mind me. I'm drinking my seltzer water. I probably drink 8 seltzer waters a day. I love those things. Just the plain ones. I'm addicted to them. I love them. And my kids think I'm crazy. They're like, "Why do you drink that plain stuff?" But I don't know. I like them. Okay, one of the first things, and this is the first one's so simple. It's you're gonna at first I assure you you're gonna discount it, but when you think about it, it's very important. The first thing is to work all the time. They say work all the time. Well, I'm talking about just working all the time. If you're working, and it depends on what you're doing. Are you trying to increase your income at your job? Are you looking to get a second job? Are you increasing your income in your business? It doesn't even matter. Whatever it is, work all the time. So, for example, if you're maxed out on your job, well, I get off at 6:00. Well, what can I do? Work a little bit more. But my job's done at 6:00. Then go work somewhere else at night. But it only pays $12 an hour. It doesn't matter. You'll figure that stuff out later. Right now, you get to work and you just keep working. Okay? Magical things happen when you're working all the time. When you're getting that momentum going, even if it seems slow and small at first, it makes a big difference. So, for example, like with my business, when I first made my income jump, I decided I'm just gonna work all the time because that's what I was reading what the billionaires are all doing and the guys who made big money what they were doing. So, for example, I would get done with my phone calls during the day because I would call people and call clients, call people I'm talking to, call people who used to be clients, and then at night I would mail them promotional material. I would mail them a sticker with my phone number on it. I would create mailings and advertisements. I would just keep working. And then all of a sudden you start figuring stuff out. And another thing is and this is really important. And again, see the thing with the working all the time, even if you look at it and say, but it's minuscule. It's an extra income, $12 an hour. It doesn't matter. Work all the time and magic starts happening. The problem I find is people will say, well, you got to work smarter. I was in the bank, right before, day after Thanksgiving. That's what it was, just a few weeks ago. And I'm withdrawing some money to go Christmas shopping. And there was a person next to me who worked at the bank, and she said something. She was wrong on it. It's no big deal. Like as far as like a transaction, like how to handle a transaction. I was doing a transaction a certain way, and she's like, "Well, you don't need a deposit slip, blah blah blah." I'm like, yeah, you do. But she's like, "No, you don't." She's like, I work here. I'm just letting you know." I'm like, "Okay, well." And then it turns out I do need whatever. It doesn't even matter what that was. But she's like, "Well, I just work smarter. I try to work smarter." It's like, okay, people got that completely wrong. People tend to think working smarter is not working. Like, okay, I'm going to work smarter so I can lay around the house all day. Forget working smarter. Take that phrase, throw it out the window for at least for this year. When you start making $300,000-$400,000 a year, then you can worry about working smarter. Right now, you got to just work harder. Okay, I don't care what anyone says. Right now, it's work harder. The other thing is to do it every day. That's probably the most important thing you can do, is to do it every day. I was at a marketing seminar back in 2002. It was put in by Jay Abraham, and he's a real he consults for like a lot of big companies now, and he's one of those real legit marketing people. And it was at the end of it was like a 3-day program, and they were long days, like 10, 12, 14-hour days. And it was like the second day, and everyone was kind of cleared out of there, and there was maybe a quarter of the people still in there for that day. And he said, a lot of people, he's kind of talking more casually, and he said, a lot of people will ask me, what's the secret to success? He said there is no secret. He said the secret is doing it every day. And that's what I found. And when I made my first income jump, like I said in 2015, it was like I just did it every day. I decided, okay, what am I going to do every day? And I did it every day. And it was amount of phone calls I made. It was certain things I'd mail every day, certain amount of people I'd contact every day. And that was huge for me, is doing it every day. So a lot of times, what I found, if you want to increase your income, if you want to increase your business, you want to get better at your job, you want to get better at, whatever skill is, my thing is forget all the fancy stuff and get down to like the basic stuff. I'll give you another example. Like, for example, when it comes to, well, I mean, really, it could be with anything, but we'll stick with business and money. Is get back to the basics. Forget all the fancy stuff. Forget all the fancy lingo. Forget all the fancy ideas, all the fancy, business idea, all this kind of stuff, and just get down to the basic stuff. When you double your income or increase your income to where you want to be, you're making $150,000, $200,000 a year, then you can start thinking about, okay, well, now I'm going to work smarter. Now I'm going to do this. But right now, what I've found is it's very hard to go from 50,000 to 250,000. Very hard to go from one extreme to another. Okay, people do it. I find it's hard. That's in my life, haven't done that. To go to 50 to 100, 100, 150, and then beyond that is, I hate to use the word easier, but it's that you build on what works. So if you're making 50 or you're making 25, then you can bump it up to 35. If you're making 35, you can bump it up to 45 or 50. If you're making 50, you can bump it up to 65. 65 up to 85, 85, 100. And then when you get to 100, it's a little easier to go to 150, 200, because you're building. Again, get back to the basics, guys. That's what you have to do, because and then you can make those jumps, those leaps. But right now, let's get back to the basics. We'll wrap it on that.